Welcome to our complete story series, where we go over some of the best story arcs in comic book history in a quick, digestible fashion. Now, in order to fully understand this story, you're going to need to know the remnants of two previous stories. Lois Lane is not dating Superman as many people would assume. Superman is in fact dating Wonder Woman right now, and Lois Lane is also psychically connected to Brainiac, basically giving us a brainwashed Lois. He's using her so that he can get closer to Superman, and Lois doesn't know that he's in her head. Now, Superman will do anything to protect his adopted planet. He is the Man of Steel with the powers of a god, but all gods must fall from grace eventually. Something is walking across some islands, killing and burning everything. So much death and destruction. The kill count is currently at 3,220, and every time the military sends somebody near the impact zone, they die from exposure. The only thing that they can think of is to call Superman. But folks, we know who this villain is. This is Doomsday, the one being in the universe that almost killed Superman using sheer force. But there's also another problem. Dr. Shea explains to Superman that the last time he fought Doomsday, that was a larva. This Doomsday is a full-grown adult that is so powerful it could kill Superman in a single punch. And he literally has a field around him that kills everything and anybody who gets near him. Superman will need to be prepared to go into this one full force. Meanwhile, over in Smallville, our brainwashed Lois is investigating a situation in which a good chunk of the residents of Smallville have all slipped into a coma. It's too bad that Superman is a little preoccupied. Well, the Justice League figures out that Doomsday is chasing Superman. He's looking for him. But every time that he emerges from the ocean and onto an island, he murders thousands of people. Superman is failing this planet by being here. But Lex Luthor has the best way to handle Doomsday. Leave the planet. Take Doomsday with you, Superman. And Superman agrees. That sounds like a great plan. So he finds Doomsday once again, and he grabs him with all of his force and he takes him into space. Whatever it takes, he will protect everyone. He promised everyone. Lois, Smallville, Earth, Diana, Lana, John Henry, Bruce Wayne. He promised everyone to protect Earth, and he will keep them safe, and that's what he will do. He takes Doomsday all around the galaxy until he comes back to Earth, and he slams him into the planet and he uses everything on him until he literally tears Doomsday in half. That's it. Doomsday's dead. That was rather quick. But all of that poison that makes up Doomsday's blood, it's now seeping into Superman whenever he takes a breath and going into his open wounds. Superman falls to his knees, remembering his promise to protect everyone and save everyone. Not knowing what this poison is that he just inhaled, he quickly takes off for Alaska so that he can relax and recoup with the aid of Krypto. He's Superman. He'll just rest this one off. And when he wakes up, something's wrong. Something is off. There's an anger growing inside of him. The Fortress of Solitude and Krypto eventually don't even recognize him. What is this? Batman and Wonder Woman decide to go to the Fortress of Solitude to see if they can figure out what's going on. Why did Superman take off, and why is he hiding from everyone? But what they find is a now sick Krypto who's reacting as if he got close to Doomsday. But he wasn't at the fight. And a Phantom Zone portal that somebody has just so happened to have left open. Well, Krypto runs into the Phantom Zone to chase after the mystery of what's happening to Clark and where did Doomsday come from. So Batman follows along with Wonder Woman. Now, the Phantom Zone is a dimensional prison where Superman has thrown all of his villains once he defeats them. So once inside, Batman and Wonder Woman find Mongrel and Non, the Kryptonian trying to hold the Phantom Zone together. Apparently, Doomsday got so powerful that he punched his way out of the Phantom Zone with force and has broken whatever holds this dimension together. Well, Batman and Wonder Woman end up teaming up with the Ghost Soldier, and they find out that something's been planted in this dimension to weaken its walls and allow Doomsday to get out of here. But before they can even start to look into it, Zadu arrives and conveniently explains everything. You see, he was the first prisoner in the Phantom Zone thrown in here by Superman's father. To get back at Superman, he struck a deal with an organization known as the Tower, and the Tower was seeking a way to defeat Superman. Well, Zadu decided to free Doomsday and give him to the Tower, but Zadu didn't know that Doomsday was fully matured, and in this state, he has the ability to merge with Superman once he was defeated. And with Doomsday merging with Superman, all life in the entire universe is going to die. And as he puts it, they need to kill Superman before he can mature into Doomsday. But before Zadu can say anything else, Mongol runs up and sucker punches him. And then Wonder Woman grabs him in her lasso so that Batman, Wonder Woman, and Ghost Soldier can drag Zatu out of the Phantom Zone so they can solve this problem. That'll teach a villain to monologue so much. But while this side adventure is going on, Lex Luthor, whom is a member of the Justice League at this point, has Superman all locked up in a special Superman prison. But Superman is changing, faster than anybody would have expected. He asks Lois to come closer and promise him that she won't let him hurt anybody. He can't control himself any longer. And she leans in even closer. And then Brainiac uses her psychic powers to tap into Superman's mind, to show him that the Teen Titans are struggling against a foe, and to show him that he needs to protect the kids. They're going to get hurt. They need Superman right now. He can't stay here. He tries to tell the others to go save the kids, save the Teen Titans, but Brainiac keeps pushing those buttons as Lois, and Superman, the Teen Titans need you. Even though Lex Luthor thinks that this prison can hold Superman, it can't, and Superman blasts off at the speed of sound and he barrels into the enemy that the Titans are struggling with. He killed this enemy in one shot. Luckily, it was a robot, but still, he destroyed it in one hit. And he looks over at the Teen Titans, and in an awkward smile, he asks, "Did I help?" They're terrified. What is this thing? It isn't Superman. Red Robin yells for the Titans to retreat away from Superman, and Superman realizes how the Titans are viewing him. He's not protecting anybody. He's not saving anybody. He's a monster. The US government sees it that way too, and they come up with their own plan. They've just rounded up all of the kryptonite that they can get their hands on and condensed it down and made a bomb out of it. They're gonna try and kill Superman before he completely loses control and turns into Doomsday. It's the planet's only hope for survival. While he's fleeing, John Henry shows up to convince Superman to come with him so that they can get him help. If he stays out here, he's going to get bombed. But Superman flings him across the earth by mistake. He can't control his strength at this point. Lex Luthor calls up Superman on the Justice League communicator. He pleads with Superman to leave the planet. Get out of here. Take the Doomsday virus with you to another world. We can't control it, and they're going to set a giant bomb off in your location. You have to leave, Superman. But he's Superman. He can stop this. He can protect the planet. He can protect everybody. But he can't. And the bomb explodes in his face. The entirety of planet Earth gets covered in a kryptonite mist. The army thinks they have it. They've defeated Superman. But Lex Luthor explains, this is so much worse. The kryptonite in the air has now weakened Superman's Kryptonian side. The only thing that's left is Doomsday now. Superman has become trapped in his own mind while the persona of Doomsday takes over and begins to lay waste to the forest in front of him. Everybody tells Wonder Woman that all hope is lost. We've lost the Superman that she loves. But this can't be the case. She can see him holding back out there, and that means that Superman must be in there. She moves quickly and she wraps him up in her lasso and she takes off for space. Super Doom struggling the whole way. But as they pass out of the kryptonite-infested atmosphere, he gets better again. He thanks Wonder Woman and he tells her to protect Earth, protect Metropolis, keep everyone safe while he deals with this. And he takes off for space to see what he can figure out. While this is going on, Steele and Lana Lang begin to do some research, and they discover that the coma patients back in Smallville are sending signals out into space. They're talking to somebody. So they launch into space on his spacecraft to track it down. Meanwhile, Superman has changed back into Super Doom and is now cutting loose in space trying to burn off the anger of the Doomsday virus. But it's not working. He just finds himself enjoying this more and more. That is until Supergirl sucker punches him. Furious, Super Doom turns to her to see that she's now a Red Lantern. She explains that as a Red Lantern, she's learned how to harness anger and hatred to her advantage. And Superman, he needs to control the Doomsday side of him. He can control this. If you're curious as to how Supergirl became a Red Lantern, make sure you check out our other complete story, The Red Daughter of Krypton. Anyway, Supergirl brings Superman to a planet that's being destroyed, and the residents of the planet are trying to escape. But a villain has set up asteroids in their way, asteroids that will destroy everybody in the ships that are trying to evacuate. Super Doomed looks at the planet. This is a planet of people who need saving. They need to be protected. But he can't do it. He might mess up and hurt them. But Supergirl simply tells him, "Have at it, cousin. I'll be heading back to Earth now where you told me to go." Superman looks back at the situation again. Doomsday was created for destruction, to kill. But what if he could direct this force like Supergirl is saying? What if he could steer this destruction? The alien race says their prayers as they hold on to their children, certain that their death is around the corner. But this is Superman, and he'll use everything to save anybody. And after destroying the entire asteroid field, allowing all of the residents to evacuate, Superman crushes the villain who was destroying this planet. And he remembers Supergirl's words to him. Superman, you're my hero. You can get through anything. You just need to learn to control your anger. Elsewhere in space, Steel and Lana figure out where those signals are being sent from. And it's worse than anyone could have imagined. Brainiac is sending an invasion fleet led by his replacement for Superman, Cyborg Superman. Lana and Steel send out a distress signal to Superman. Help us, Superman. Super Doom quickly makes his way to the fleet and he realizes that the entire thing is automated. He can cut loose. Internally, Superman and Super Doom are debating what to do, but right now, Super Doom is steering this ride, and he's going to destroy as many of these ships as he can. Back on Earth, Lois sees as Brainiac begins to drop his robot soldiers on the planet to conquer it, and he takes full control of Lois Lane's body. She's now just another one of Brainiac's pawns. She's been paving the way for his invasion this whole time by lowering the defenses of Earth, allowing tests in Metropolis and Smallville, and now Lois Lane has become the harbinger of death and destruction. And she's trapped in her own mind watching as all of this happens. Superheroes around the globe begin to fight off against Brainiac's attack, and they're losing hardly. There's just so many machines attacking. But Super Doom thinks it's time to use his newly focused destructive nature, and he comes in to wreck face. He's amazed at his newfound power. He has so much force and destruction at his fingertips. But he can't control it, not on Earth with the kryptonite still in the air. He can't hold back the beast from its true destructive nature. Batman and Lex Luthor see this as a problem. They realize that Superman could overcome this if they could get rid of the kryptonite. But how? Lex Luthor says that it'll take 3 years to clear this from the air. But Batman says he has a plan. They'll go beyond the science that Lex Luthor knows. They have Zadu captive. And he will help them. Superman sees Martian Manhunter in trouble and he yells out that he'll help him, he'll help Johns! But Martian Manhunter yells for him to stop. Doomsday has control of you, Superman, stop coming over here! And just as he gets in range of Martian Manhunter, the Doomsday infection ignites the entire forest around them. The fire is Martian Manhunter's one weakness, so the whole forest burns around a scared Martian Manhunter. But he thinks quickly, and he puts a mental block into Superman's mind, allowing him to control the Super Doom nature once again. And the two heroes then team up with Ghost Soldier and Baka to continue wrecking the Brainiac's forces. Eventually, Super Doom finds himself face to face with a Brainiac-controlled Lois Lane, and with Lois Lane's powers of telepathy, she reaches out and talks to Clark Kent inside of Super Doom. They're both trapped inside their bodies, but at least they can still communicate. And Superman has a plan. He'll use every ounce of control that he has over the Doomsday virus to force the field of destruction around it to purge the Brainiac nanomachines out of Lois Lane's body. And he does it. She gets in control again, along with having those nifty powers. But he has to leave, now, because he's losing control to the Doomsday virus again. But while he was dealing with Lois, Batman has discovered and started using Zadu's technology to purge the planet Earth of trillions of kryptonite particles. They accomplish this goal by opening up tiny little portals to other dimensions all over the planet and sucking up every ounce of kryptonite. With no kryptonite mist to suppress his natural powers, Superman uses them along with his newfound control over his anger to finally suppress the Doomsday virus out of his system and become Superman again. And Zadu also escaped because he also got stronger with no kryptonite in the air, but we'll get to that in another story. Because Brainiac is now realizing that he lost control of Lois and Superman, so he decides to up the ante, and he warps the rest of his fleet while taking control of everyone on the planet Earth that he can reach. And I do mean everyone who can't withstand his psychic blasts, even the deepest parts of the ocean, and even Lex Luthor in his shielded facility. Batman calls to Superman, "New plan! You have to get rid of Brainiac for good!" Martian Manhunter and Superman head off into space to fight against a ship that is so large that it dwarfs the planet Earth itself. And meanwhile, to make matters even worse, Mongol and the Kryptonian Non finally free themselves from the Phantom Zone. The two of them walk onto the planet Earth and they plan to conquer this planet and add it to the Warworld's arsenal. Well, that is until they realize that Brainiac has taken this world over. Then they both say, we're not suicidal. So forget this, and they retreat back to the Phantom Zone. But Wonder Woman has also got a plan. So she follows them into the Phantom Zone so that she can strike a deal with Mongol for the Warworld. Back up in space, Superman realizes that this whole thing is beyond him. He needs more strength, more power. He needs to cut loose. And since he only has Super Doom behind a mental block, and technically still has the virus inside of him, he'll just use Super Doom. So he goes to the mental cage that is in his mind, the one that he built for Super Doom, and he lets him go. It's time for Super Doom to cut loose one more time. They're gonna destroy the one who started all of this. The entire planet is dying. There's no more time for diplomacy. There's no more chance for peace. There's nothing left but destruction. He needs to end this now for everybody, to protect everyone. Brainiac has no hope to stand against Super Doom. Or does he? He taps into Super Doom's mind to speak to Superman, to explain why he's doing this. Because you're not gonna believe this one. He needs as many memories, thoughts, and worlds in his collection. He's trying to save everyone in his own twisted way. He wants to make new worlds, new universes, new multiverse worlds. And just then, the War World takes a shot through the Phantom Zone portal and into space, blasting the side of Brainiac's ship. Which is just the push that Super Doom needed to break out of Brainiac's mind control and rip that monster out of his ship. Without having control over anything any longer, Brainiac is defeated. So Lois Lane uses her psychic powers to step into the minds of both Brainiac and Superman to help Superman end this finally. And the two of them decide to look into Brainiac's mind. Who is he? Was he telling the truth? He was once a man named Vril Dox, a man who pushed the scientific limits to the point of having killed his own family. He now looks for a way to rebuild that world, that universe, and be with them once again. But Vril Dox isn't defeated, and he gets up to take back his powers and memories that he gave Lois. But not before she can pass everything to Super Doom. We now have the strongest incarnation of Superman ever, Super Brainy Doom, and he has so much power. He looks at Vril Dox and declares, "You've done enough to this universe. It's time to remove you from it." And with that, he punches a hole into our very universe, a black hole. And he stands there holding Brainiac, declaring that he's looking for another world that he can throw Brainiac into, a safe place, a place where he can do no harm. And Brainiac declares that this is Superman's last chance to save himself. And Superman, our Superman finally, declares, "I'd rather save them." And just then the break in the dimension sucks up the ship, and Brainiac and our Superman gets away just in a nick of time. He did it again. He has saved everybody. There's a little aftermath to go through, such as dealing with all those fights that he and Wonder Woman had, and the fact that the portal to the Phantom Zone was destroyed from the War World beam. And he still has to pretty much overcome the fact that he's got the Doomsday virus kind of like locked up inside of him. But nothing that can't be fixed up rather quickly and easily. So where did Superman send the Brainiac of the New 52 universe? And there's a reason why I've said the New 52 universe for the first time ever in these stories. Because this Brainiac has been placed in the space between the worlds, in the space between the multiverse dimensions, and he can see every world that has ever been created in the DC universe proper, including pre-New 52.